Started chaffinches and sparrows. Let's going to continue with our story, the BFG. I'm loving it. So we saw yesterday how the big friendly giant went to catch some dreams, and then how he at the end he got a little bit upset because he got a nightmare. And by the title of today, a struggle hamper for the flesh lamb Peter, I think that I know what's going to happen. Let's see. They is always having 50 winks before they goes scampering off to hunt human beings in the evening, the BFG said. He stopped for a few moments to let Sophie have a better look. Giants is only sleeping every then and now, he said. Not nearly as much as a human beings. Human beings is crazy for sleeping. Is it ever occurring to you that a human being who is 50 is spending about 20 years sleeping fast? I must admit that never occurred to me, Sophie said. You should allow it to occur you, the BFG said. Imagine it, please. This human being who says he is 50, he has been fast asleep for 20 years and is not even knowing where he is, not even doing anything. Not even thinking. That is a funny thought, Sophie said. Exactly, the BFG said. So what I is trying to explain to you is that a human being who says he is 50 is not 50, he's only 30. What about me? Sophie said. I am 8. You is not 8 at all, the BFG said. Human being babies and little children is spending half their time sleeping, so you is only 4. I'm 8, Sophie said. You may think you is 8, but you has only spent 4 hours of your life with your little eyes open. You is only 4, and please stop heckling me. Teaching little snapper whippers like you should not be higgling around with an old sage and onions who is hundreds of years more than you. How much do giants sleep? Sophie asked. They is never wasting much time snoozling. They, 2 or 3 hours is enough. When do you sleep? Sophie asked. Even less, the BFG answered. I is sleeping only once in a blue baboon. Sophie peeping out from her pocket, examined the 9 sleeping giants. They looked even more grotesque now than when they were awake. Sprawled across the yellow plain, they covered an area about the size of a football field. Most of them were lying on their backs with their enormous mouths wide open, and they were snoring like foghorns. The noise was awful. Suddenly, the BFG gave a jump in the air. By God, Frog, he cried, I is just having the most whoopsie-whiffling idea. What? Sophie said. Wait, he cried. Hold your horse feathers. Keep your skirt on. Just you wait to see what I is going to bring about. He galloped off fast to his cave, with Sophie hanging on tight to the rim of the pocket. He rolled back the stone. He entered the cave. He was very excited. He was moving quickly. You, stay here. You is in my pocket. Huggy bee, he said. We is doing this lovely bit of back wassailing both together. He laid aside the dream-catching net, but hung on to the suitcase. He ran across to the other side of the cave and grabbed the long trumpet thing, the one he had been carrying when Sophie had first seen him in the village. With the suitcase in one hand and the trumpet in the other, he dashed out of the cave. What is he up to now? Sophie wondered. Keep your head up good, the BFG said. Then you will get a fine winkle of what is going on. When the BFG came near to the sleeping giants, he slowed his pace. He began moving softly. He crept on his toes towards the ugly brutes. They were still snoring loudly. They looked repulsive, filthy, diabolical. The BFG tiptoed around them. He went past the gizzard gulper, the blood blotter, the meat dripper, the child chewer. Then he stopped. He had reached the flesh lamp eater. He pointed at him, then he looked down at Sophie and gave her a big wink. He knelt on the ground and very quietly he opened the suitcase. He took out of it the glass jar containing the terrible, nightmarish struggle lumper. At a point, Sophie guessed what was going to happen next. Ouch, she thought. This could be rather dangerous. She crouched lower in the pocket so that only the top of her head and the eyes were showing. She wanted to be ready to duck out of sight very fast should anything go wrong. They were about 10 feet away from the flesh lamp eater's face. The snorting noise he was making was disgusting. Every now and again, a big bubble of spit formed between his two open lips, and then it would burst with a splash and cover his face with saliva. Taking infinite care, the BFG unscrewed the top of the glass jar and tipped the squiggling, smirkling, faintly scarlet toggler hamper into the wide end of his long trumpet. He put the other end of the trumpet to his lips. He aimed the instrument directly at the flesh lamp eater's face. He took a deep breath, puffed out his cheeks, and then woof, he blew. Sophie saw a flash of pale red gold darting towards the giant's face. For a split second, it hovered above the face. Then it was gone. It seems to have been sucked up the giant's nose, but it had all happened so quickly, Sophie couldn't be sure. "We had better be skittling away, quick, to where it is safe," the BFG whispered. He trotted off for about 100 yards, then he stopped. He crouched low to the earth. "Now," he said, "we is waiting for the gun and flames to begin." They didn't have long to wait. The air was suddenly pierced by the most fearful roar Sophie had ever heard. And she saw the flesh lamp eater bodies, all 54 feet of it, rise up off the ground and fall back again with a thump. Then it began to wriggle and twist and bounce about in the most violent fashion. It was quite frightening to watch. "Wah!" roars the flesh lamp eater. "Aye, ow!" "He is still asleep," the BFG whispered. "The terrible, struggle-humping nightmare is beginning to hit him." "Serves him right," Sophie said. She could feel no sympathy for this great brute who ate children as though they were sugar lumps. That's brave. It looks scary. "Save us!" screamed the flesh lamp eater, thrashing about madly. "He's after me! He's getting me!" The thrashing of limbs and the waving of arms became more violent by the second. It was an awesome thing to watch, such a massive creature having such a mighty convulsions. "It's Jack!" bellowed the flesh lamp eater. "It's the growful, gracious Jack! Jack is after me! Jack is crackling me! Jack is spine-sticking me! Jack is splashing-planking me! It is a terrible, fried, swimping Jack!" The flesh lamp eater was writhing about over the ground, like some colossal torture snake. "Oh, spare me, Jack!" he yelled. "Don't hurt me, Jack!" Who is this Jack he's on about?" Sophie whispered. "Jack is the only human being all giants is frightened of," the BFG told her. "They is absolutely terrified of Jack. They is all hearing that Jack is a famous giant killer." "Save me!" screamed the flesh lamp eater. "Have mercy on this poor little giant! The beanstalk! He's coming at me with his terrible spike-sticking beanstalk! Take it away! Aye, he's begging you, Jack! Aye, he's praying you not to touch me with your terrible spike-sticking beanstalk! Us giants, the BFG whispered, is not knowing very much about this dream human being called Jack. We is knowing only that he is famous giant killer and that he is owing something called beanstalk. We is knowing also that the beanstalk is a fearsome thing and Jack is using it to kill giants. Sophie couldn't stop smiling. What is you giggling at? The BFG asked her, slightly nettled. I will tell you later, Sophie said. The awful nightmare had now gripped the great brute to such an extent that he was tying his whole body into knots. Do not do it, Jack, he screeched. I was not eating you, Jack. I has never eaten human beings. I swear I has never gobbled a single human being in all my wholesome life. Liar, said the BFG. Just then, one of the flesh lamp eaters flying fist caught the still fast asleep. Mid-tripping giant smacked it in the mouth. At the same time, one of his furious thrashing legs kicked the snoring geezer calming. Giant right in the guts. Both the injured giants woke up and leaped to their feet. He is sweeping me right in the mouth, yelled the mid-tripper. He is bang-swoggling me smack in the guts, shouted the geezer gulper. The two of them rushed at the flesh lamp eater and began pounding him with their fists and feet. The wretched flesh lamp eater woke up with a bang. He awoke straight from one nightmare into another. He roared into battle, and in the bellowing thumping, rough and tumble that followed, one sleeping giant after another either got stepped upon or kicked. They're all fighting now. Better the BFG is having so much fun watching this, instead of being he the one that is being hit. Okay. Soon, all 9 of them were on their feet, having the most almighty free-for-all. They punched and kicked and scratched and beat and batted each other as hard as they could. Blood flowed. Noses went crunch. Teeth fell out like hailstones. The giants roared and screamed and cursed, and for many minutes the noise of battle rolled across the yellow plain. The BFG smiled, a big white smile of absolute pleasure. I is loving it when they all is having a good tough and rumble, he said. They will kill each other, Sophie said. Never, the BFG answered. Those beasts is always pushing and galloping at one another. Soon it will be getting dusky, and they will all galloping off to fill their tummies. They're coarse and full and filthy. I hate them. As the BFG headed back to the cave, he said quietly, We certainly was putting the nightmare to good use though, wasn't we? Excellent use, Sophie said. Well done, you. Tomorrow we will be seeing the next chapter called Dreams. Okay, have a lovely evening, everyone. Adios.